Look, everybody knows that in order to be successful, you've got to stop caring so much about what other people think. But it's not so easy, like when you're being misunderstood by people that you love or judged by people that don't even know you, maybe paralyzed in fear of what others are going to think about you. It's hard to break free from all of that. And it's not as easy as just deciding that you don't care. I mean, there are underlying issues that need to be addressed so you can break free of the stronghold of caring so much about what other people think. Right? And if you stay to the end of today's episode, you'll find out why I'm wearing sunglasses inside of a studio with no sun. So let's dive in. Welcome to Success Sundays with Harrison. I'm your host, Harrison Wilder. I'm a corporate strategist and entrepreneur with an executive MBA from the George Washington University. I've managed 2 multi-million-dollar companies, and I advise top-level executives from a variety of industries. In this show, you'll find practical insights that will help you succeed as a leader in today's business environment. If you're serious about developing your skills as an executive, this is the place for you. Enjoy today's episode. If you want to know my deepest, darkest secret, it's that I don't really care too much about what other people think. For most of my life, I suffered from rejection. I would always see myself on the outside of social circles looking in, and for a little while, especially in middle school when I was young, I wanted to be on the inside, but I felt like no one else wanted to let me in. So here's how I coped with that. I decided that I didn't need to be in. I was too special to be in anybody's social circle, right? I believed that I had a higher calling, and if all these little cliques couldn't see how special I am, then that's on them, right? Now, maybe that wasn't the healthiest way of dealing with it, but it's contributed to who I am today, so I'm okay with that. But I'm not immune, like in certain moments, to getting caught up with wondering what other people are thinking about me. And I recognize that many of you may wrestle with this as well. And for me, I've experienced it most when it comes to public speaking. I remember the first time that I ever really had to prepare a message and speak in front of a group. Look, I had this radical kind of experience with the Lord in high school, and one of the things I wanted to do as soon as it happened to me was I wanted to share this experience with other people. So I decided that I was going to rent out the local amphitheater, seats a few hundred people, and I was going to get the word out, invite all the people from my high school. We're going to come out and have this big prayer rally. And this was my plan for having other people experience what I had just experienced. And the way to promote this was, I was handing out flyers, but I was also looking for speaking invitations into the local youth groups. And I happened to land one. I don't know why, but at the local Methodist church, the youth pastor there was like, "Sure, you can come talk to our middle school and high school students." And so I show up at this thing, and I've been, just the whole day. I was excited about it, but the idea of it. But then when it got down to the day of doing this thing, I was so scared. I mean, I remember being white with terror about getting in front of this group. The whole day I was trying to, plan out what I was going to do, think about it. I was envisioning in it, but I just, I kept seeing it going so terrible. And to be honest with you, when I got up in front of the people, they had a little worship set, guy on the guitar, and then they were like, "Well, Harrison's going to share with you now." I just froze. I got in front of the people, and I was so worried about what they were thinking about me. This group of middle school students and high school students, I was so worried about what they were thinking about me that I couldn't even remember what I was supposed to say, what I was there for, anything. I think I said a few words, and then I would just turn it right back over to the guy with the guitar and why don't you take over? It was a disaster. So why do we care so much about what other people think? Well, we've literally been raised to care so much about what other people think, about the environment that we're in, the culture that we're a part of. We think it's dangerous to step outside of that. But the truth is that we're never going to free ourselves of caring what other people think until we start taking personal responsibility for our lives. You've got to decide what you believe. You've got to decide who you're becoming. You've got to decide what it is that you're moving towards. You've got to decide what desires you're going to pursue. And and own all of that. And then nobody else can be responsible for your life. I think this especially applies to some of your most deeply held beliefs. Like, do you need others to believe with you, right? Chances are that if you're allowing yourself to be controlled by other people's opinions or are moved like emotionally by other people's opinions, especially concerning your beliefs, chances are that those beliefs are not anchored inside of you as deeply as you think. Maybe they've been taught to you, but you've never fully owned them. And one indication of that is that you feel like everybody else has to believe the way that you believe in order for it to be true. So, one way to begin to free yourself from that is to really say, wait a minute, I need to decide what I believe. I really need to focus in and let myself decide if I truly believe this or not, to test it, to weigh it, to go through the process, do the research, do the reflection, definitely get the opinion and input of other people that care about you, but then make your choices about what you believe. And you'll find that when you do that you don't need anybody else to believe what you believe, right? When you really believe something on the inside, you can set yourself free from what other people think about it. They can go on believing what they believe, and you're going to be just fine, right? So not taking personal responsibility for your choices, for your beliefs, for your desires, that's a big part of why other people's opinions are controlling you so much. Here's another thing about caring so much about what other people think is you may not be realizing that some relationships are seasonal, right? Like we're so invested sometimes in making sure that we keep the peace with everybody around us, and that we maintain relationships with everybody, that we don't know when it's time to let some people go. Right? Sometimes in life, when you're pursuing your purpose and moving in a certain direction and following the desires that God has put inside of your heart, there's some people that aren't going to go there with you. There's some people who may have been a big part of your past, who may be a big part of your life right now, but they're not going to be a big part of your future. And we got to recognize that some of these relationships are, in fact, seasonal. They're not meant to go the whole way with you, right? And that's okay. There's no judgment on that. It might be painful. It might be hard to kind of let those things go. But there's some people who just can't go with you, and that's okay. So once you decided that, hey, this is the direction I'm moving in, and there's people who don't want to go there with you, just recognize it with no judgment, with no animosity. Okay, maybe they're not following me into this season. Maybe they're not going with me into that place, and I'm going to be okay with that because there's new people over here that I'm going to connect with, right? New people wherever I'm going that God is going to supply and meet all of these relational needs that I have. One of the scriptures I love is where Jesus is talking to disciples, and one of the disciples asked him, Master, we've all left our homes, we left our families to follow you. What does it mean for us? And Jesus is like, look, rest assured that anybody who leaves home or who leaves relationships in order to follow me, right? So let's apply this to you right now. When you go and follow God's purpose for your life, and you're stepping out into the things that God is asking you to do, and it's requiring of you to step out of certain relationships that can't go with you, Jesus is saying this is look, there's going to be 10 times as much for that person, right? 10 times houses, 10 times families, 10 times relationships, 10 times everything that you need in this world, Jesus says, and then eternal life in the life to come. So Jesus is promising you right now, look, if you need to leave some people behind in order to move forward, he's going to take care of that. He's going to meet all those needs. You're going to experience so much more fulfillment if you'll follow him into the purpose that he has for you. Then you will just staying here, just trying to hold on to this relationship that is actually holding you back. So look, Some people can't go with you. Some people can go with you, but it's just going to take them some time. Okay. Like there's some people you're stuck with, right? You got family members. They're going to, they're in your life. It's not like you're leaving them, but just understand that some people are going to take some time. They don't, you don't need to expect that they have the same conviction that you do. This is something God has put in your heart. This is something that you've ascended to through your experiences and through the things that you've been exposed to, and they might not get it yet, and that's okay, right? You're gonna take them with you on the journey, but it might take them some time to understand what's going on, right? Maybe there's a spouse, and you're like, it's like you're not supposed to leave them to go pursue the things, but just, give them some space to like figure it out with you. Say, hey, look, I totally understand that that you don't understand what I'm doing here, but this is in my heart. This is something I need to pursue, and I'd love for you to come on the journey with me. And when you do that, you're giving them the space and the opportunity to figure it out for themselves and to kind of come along at their own pace. So that's okay too. And then of course there's some people who are like ready to go with you. They're like, I see it, I'm with you 100%, and those people are definitely going to come into the next season with you. But look, not realizing that some relationships are seasonal is one of the reasons why we let other people's opinions hold us back, and we care so much about what other people think is because we're concerned about losing those relationships. And what I'm saying to you today is like, hey, that's okay. There might be some relationships that you lose. There might be some relationships that take a little bit of time. And then there's going to be some people who are ready to go with you, and some people that you're going to meet along the way, and they're going to become your new circle of best friends, right? So all of that's happening to you. One more thing I wanted to share about caring so much about what other people think. And this is being more worried about impressing than helping, right? This is something that I've seen, especially when it comes to public speaking. We coach a lot of our clients on this. Like, if you find yourself so nervous and so consumed with other people are thinking about you when you're going up to speak, and this also applies to every other area of life, it may be that you're more concerned about impressing the people that are observing you than you are about helping those people. And this little shift in your mind of like, wait a minute, I'm here to help, right? When I was speaking to those middle school students, the first time I ever gave a message, it would have been really helpful for me if I had focused on helping them, right? If I had focused on like, what does God want to speak to these people that would really help them today, right? If I had gotten more focused on that instead of trying to impress them with my amazing speaking abilities or with my anointing, with my power, I'm trying, instead of doing that, if I had focused on helping them, I would have been set free from what they were thinking about me and really able to provide massive value. And ultimately, my performance would have been a lot better as well. So you may be able to apply this in other areas besides speaking. Where is it in your life that you're focused so much on impressing people and you want them to think you're amazing instead of wanting to actually help them? Because look, they will think you're amazing if you can help them, but focusing on impressing them is only going to keep you kind of bottled up and tied down in what other people think too much. And look, hey, for all of you Enneagram 3s out there, I understand like you're wired to want to look good. So don't fight that. For those of you who are wired that way, instead use it to your advantage, right? Let it drive you towards your goals, but just recognize that you don't want it to control you. Other people's opinions, you don't want it to control you, to keep you from moving forward with your purpose. In fact, the more that you can move forward with what you're called to do and step into who it is that you're supposed to be, the more you're going to look good to everybody else. Well, look, hey, I don't like to end any episode without giving you the success challenge of the week. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend what I'm about to ask you to do as a general practice, but you can sometimes do things that are completely opposite of what other people expect from you. That really is also letting people control you, right? Whether you're doing exactly what they want or exactly what they don't want, you're still being controlled by other people's opinions. So what I'm suggesting to you, though, this is just more of an exercise, is to go do something that other people think might think are unusual. Right? Do something that other people will be like, what are you doing? Just for the opportunity to assess, like, why does this make you uncomfortable? What are the thoughts going on? Like, what are some of these things that we've talked about today that are coming up inside of you? Maybe you should do something like wear a pair of sunglasses inside of a studio where there is no sun just so you can feel like, hey, what is this rising up inside of me? What is this causing me to think about? What am I concerned about here? And then jot those things down, like, as an exercise to be like, what are the underlying issues that I'm concerned about that are causing me to be so concerned about what other people think? All right, if you have any questions for me I might be able to help you with on a future episode, just post them down in the comments. I love to hear from you and create content that's super helpful for you. So put those down in the comment. My team will tee up those ideas for future episodes. Until then, have a great week, and we'll see you in the next episode. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Great businesses and great leaders are built using effective communication. For more, go to speakingschool.com, grab my Elite Business Success Toolkit for free just for trying out our Speaking School membership. That's speakingschool.com. See you next time.